All right.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to a random stream. One of my good buddies on Twitter, I'll introduce in a second, DM'd me late last week and said, hey, we got this interesting stuff happening. He wanted to come tell us all about it. So with that in mind, the topic is Antifa, and it looks like things are getting a little bit violent. And Keith Campbell, we've had him on here before. His big thing is kind of going to these Patriot rallies, filming, and his side hobby seems to be getting beat up by Antifa occasionally. You know? But Keith, how would you characterize the work you do?
Well, I don't know about that side hobby. I think I want to give up on the side hobby and maybe not get beat up again.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah, character. I just try to go there and I try hotly contested events that I think the most interesting, and just try to get there, get in the middle, get the good shots, and try not to get bashed, and then go back and make videos, live stream them, and that's what I've been doing basically for almost 2 years now.
And I know you have some,
and they're getting more violent.
And that's where I think we're going to take this stream as sort of what you're seeing upcoming with the rallies on the horizon. But not to leave them out, we also have Daniel Barron of the Daniel Barron Show. Both these guys' Twitter links are in the profile description below, by the way. Daniel's kind of like your, if I was to describe him, I'll let him describe himself after. I would say he's sort of a MAGA political hobbyist, and you can hear all his opinions and things on Periscope. It's entertaining. Yeah. I like it. But I don't know, how would you characterize yourself?
I would characterize myself as I was calling myself Nigger Daniel earlier, so I'd like to stick with that.
Disavow.
Yeah, I'm a pro-Trump guy. I got a show on Saturday night. I'll be on in like 2 hours now on Periscope. I love Keith and Shark, and I watch all their stuff. And we've been friends for a long time, talking about Antifa and navigating this culture war. And I'm excited to hear about the violence tonight and how we can contribute to more violence in the future.
It's going to be easy.
Well, Keith, I think the best way to start this off is to probably talk about the rally that was planned in Oakland but wasn't actually planned. It was more of a rumor, and sort of how that led into murder accusations and near lynching. So I guess first, what was going on in Oakland? How did this supposed rally show up, and when was it supposed to happen?
Well, about a week or so ago, Antifa put out a rumor that Proud Boys were going to do a meetup in Oakland. I don't exactly know where the supposed meetup was going to be, but it was never going to happen. It was just a rumor. They started circulating, and of course, people started getting up in arms because of far right, Wild Boys, all that kinds of garbage, coming to the Bay Area. So, and then it wasn't long after that a white person stabbed these two black sisters, and one of them died. And so, of course, then the narrative was, that must have been part of the Proud Boys, and it was definitely a white supremacist that did that, and they just started like stirring up, all this hate, and trying to get BLM, up in arms, Occupy Oakland up in arms, all these different community groups, the communist groups, and then a couple white guys happened upon this group of people who were, I don't know if they were protesting or a memorial for that woman that got killed, and they basically were going to lynch him. They claimed, Antifa put out, that they're Proud Boys, and so the crowd was just going to lynch them, and there was like 1,000 people that went after them. And if there hadn't been cops right there, that crowd was out for blood. They probably would have ended up killing or seriously hurting them. Innocent people, all because of a rumor that Rose City Antifa and Eugene Antifa put out there, and it almost got innocent people hurt, and they don't give a shit. It's crazy the way they're twisting the narrative.
It almost sort of sounds likely that those murders took place, and then someone's, after the fact, or the murder and the stabbing, I guess they're two separate things. Then after someone goes behind that and says, hey, these Proud Boy guys were coming, I bet they were having a rally, and it just became sort of a not false flag, sort of, it was never true, but someone wanted it to be true to make their narrative.
Right. Yeah, oh, go ahead, Daniel.
It's super fake news. I live on news on the internet and Twitter and YouTube and everything else, and I haven't heard about this until today. And I just find that's just crazy. The borderline lynching, because people are white based on a fake narrative, and nobody's even hearing about it.
Is there any sort of first-hand accounts or documentation out there a normie could go read?
You know, I actually think part of it was caught on video, and I'm not sure where it is. Yeah, I don't really, you know, I'm sure you could look it up on YouTube, and someone will have put it on YouTube or live stream part of it or something.
Well, I think we know what my first video will be next week if I could. I know what I'm doing tomorrow. But this sort of, you take that narrative, you take that fake news, and then you push it forward to what makes sense. Probably a Say No to Marxism rally in Berkeley, which was scheduled next. Is that right?
Yeah. So like months ago, I'm not sure, quite a while ago actually. So there was a Say No to Marxism rally scheduled for the 5th, and it's basically kind of to commemorate the one that was canceled the year before on August 27th, where I got attacked. So that's going to happen, and then the thing with the 2 people who were stabbed at the BART. So now they're getting everybody just all up in arms. One of our contacts with the police said that they were keen again. Occupy Oakland is involved. They can put huge numbers on the street if they want to. BLM, is getting involved. The different Antifa groups, they're getting all up in arms. So it's like they're basically, trying to do a repeat of August 27th, when there was probably 8,000 to 10,000 people. And except they're more pissed off. They want to do a lynching. They want blood, and they're not going to be satisfied until they get it.
That was sort of was the last Berkeley rally, wasn't it? I mean, I think the right word is patriots. The patriots had their get together, but not many people showed up. There must have been thousands of Antifa there, and before long, Antifa just kind of stormed the place, and everyone was getting kind of beat down, including yourself. If that's the right rally. I'm thinking the right rally.
No, that's the one. It got canceled because it seemed like it was going to be a total setup. And some of us decided, we're not going to let threats of violence, stop us from exercising our rights. And so at the beginning of the day, there was probably 30 or 40 of us or something. But when the main body of Antifa and the main communist groups, when they finally showed up in mass numbers, the police stood down. And by then there was probably maybe 10 of us, if even that. And then it ended up being, thousands of people. And they were riled up because of people like Nancy Pelosi and, other lawmakers going off about, Nazis are coming to the Bay Area, Nazis are coming to Berkeley. And and we were the Nazis that they were going to get whoever happened to show up, and they knew I had already put it out there that I was going to show up no matter what. And yeah, so it looks like the same thing this time, only probably worse.
Well, I mean, no one's going to this, right? It's been pretty much canceled. Is that right? Hello? Uh-oh. Did I lose everybody? Hello.
Say that again?
Oh, you're still here. Good. But has the Berkeley rally been more or less canceled at this point?
Yeah, well, most people are not going. I know the Proud Boys who were going to do security are not going. It's just going to be another thing of bad optics. There's fighting. They're going to end up twisting it to where it was our fault. We came in looking for violence. And with that many people arrayed against us, I mean, I don't know how we could not all avoid going to the hospital. Just people are just too mad, too crazy right now. So we're all pulling out. But I did hear that Amber is still going to do it, and a few others. So I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be able to hire security, or I heard rumors of that might happen. But, Patriot Prayer pulled out, all the Proud Boys disavowed and pulled out, because it's just going to be, lambs to a slaughter.
I mean, I guess
there's no way we could put enough people on the...
Burke is really the catalyst of all things terrible, it seems. It's like going straight into the heartland. I don't know.
Well, it is. It's horrible. I mean, the police are even more useless than, Portland police. I mean, Berkeley police, they'll stand way off and they won't do anything, regardless. So, yeah, it's
well, you know what?
There.
I'll tell you what scares me, and mentioned this a little bit in the pre-show. Like, what scares me is that the socialist element of the United States has lost power executively, legislatively, and judicially. So my concern is that they're just moving as far left as possible in an attempt to regain power just by mob justice, by mob violence, the old-fashioned way. Because if they can't get it the way they've been getting it, they've lost it all. So they have to find a way to get it back, right?
I guess the question there is, are they leaving the moderate left behind as they become more and more crazy?
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah,
I think the answer is yes. I mean, there's all these movements online. There's the walk away, and there's all this. And I have people on my show every week, you know, like Black people and Hispanic people, and they're like, yeah, like this is getting crazy. You know, this is getting stupid, and I don't want to be associated with that kind of stupidity anymore. So they're definitely leaving the middle behind. But my concern is, like, then people like Keith are like, hey, look, this is going to get ugly, you know? And I'm like, well, that's where it gets scary for me.
Yeah, and it's just, well, yeah, more, like I said, more and more people are going farther and farther left. I mean, I used to talk about this like early last year. It's like, seems like nobody stayed in the middle because of everything, or locally, people either move farther right or they move left. And that's been happening. The part of the problem we have in rallies and things is we can never put as many people as they can at any given time, any given rally. You know, they can show up and match us, or if we have 50, or they can, you know, overwhelm us 100 to 1, which they have done. It just depends on whether they figure it's important enough to do that or not do that. And it sounds like Berkeley on the 5th was going to be important enough to, you know, put thousands and thousands of people against us. And I think they're trying to do the same thing for Portland, although we will have more people up there on our side. But I think they're doing that for Portland.
So the next event you plan to attend is Portland on August 4th. Is that right?
Yes, on August 4th, and this time we're not doing a thing. We're just going to swoop in there and maybe have some speaking if possible, but I haven't church, and you know, I've seen like video after video from Antifa, and they're trying to just stir everybody up, get the whole communities. You know, white supremacists are coming into town. Don't talk with them. Don't do anything but physical violence. It's useless to talk to white supremacists. So, you know, punch a Nazi.
So the last Portland event was only a couple months ago, max, something like that. The police didn't do a great job of keeping anyone safe, and, you know, it devolved into random violence. Have you guys even bothered to coordinate with the police at all this time, or are you just sort of not bothering?
No, we're not going to, because, you know, there was 3 sit-down meetings with Homeland Security and with Portland Police Bureau, and every time they said you guys keep your pepper spray, 2-ounce bottles, no bigger. And as soon as we got there, it was like, okay, get rid of it or you're going to be arrested. Get arrested. They made sure we didn't have any shields. They made sure they took my monopod because it could be used as a weapon. Had to unscrew it from my camera. And then across the street, you see, you know, a horde of Antifa with, you know, flags, flag poles. And you know, they've got a ton of mace, all that stuff. They're not being checked. And so as soon as we start to march, then here comes first they start throwing apples, and you're like, oh, okay, who cares? Then here comes like the rock M80s and the fun. You know, I saw some bats go flying through the air, and just it was just crazy, and they're just like raining potentially deadly, you know, objects down on our heads. And before any blows or any fighting ever started, they just started throwing shit like crazy at us.
On the bright side, Daniel, hopefully you saw this also. There was the Antifa boy came at a rather large man with a rod, and the dude blocked the rod and knocked the dude out in one hit. The shit was hilarious. It was probably, I don't know. Am I a bad man for enjoying that?
No.
No, man open. Yeah.
It's fantastic. Look, if they're gonna, I don't. I'm a big fan of Dan Bongino. I don't know if your listeners listen to him, but he did a show called New Rules 2 days ago, and he's like, "New rules. We accept your terms for combat. You want to fight on this? We win. You lose. That's the new rule. It's no more moral victory. If they want to come at me, they want to come at this guy with a club. Grab the club, beat the piss out of him. New rules. We win. You lose. That's where I stand on it now."
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what that did is, I think that in the Pacific Northwest Proud Boys, I think there was before that, before Rufio's one-punch knockout, there was about 170. I believe there's been 400 new members since that time, and it's been a month or a couple days less than a month. 400, and that's just in the Pacific Northwest alone, not all the rest of the country who have been watching that viral video. People are flocking to the Proud Boys because they've been in the streets. They've been defending, Patriot Prayer. They've been defending the women and younger people, the older. There's grandmothers there that go and march with flags, and they've been doing that for the last 18 months. And people are seeing that, and they saw Rufio do the knockout, and they're like, "Man, it's time to get into the streets." And Antifa, they weren't prepared for our response. I think it totally caught them off guard because when everybody just went at Antifa, it just overwhelmed them and drove them back, and they were not prepared at all. I'm sure that's not going to happen on August 4th. They know they were caught way off guard. They're going to be prepared. I mean, they're all over the place talking about strategies, talking about, better armor, this, and, they're dissecting all these videos from Portland and leaving out key stuff so they can show that, we were the aggressors, or, there's a video, for example, of, one Antifa on the ground. He's getting stomped, punched and stomped by about 6 or 7 guys. And of course, Antifa are all crying about, well, you should have let him up. Look at that. 8 guys stomping on. Oh, come on. First of all, I had 9 stomping on me when I was unconscious, and nobody let me up. Dove on top of me. Daniel Quillen on March 4th. Got jumped by 5 guys, got his head split open. A doctor on that same day, a 70-year-old doctor, got staples on one side of his head, stitches on the other by a bunch of them, and beat almost to death. So, they whine about they're getting their own medicine. It's like they will not do us the same courtesy. If they catch me up there, they're not just going to whack me and let me get up. I mean, they're just going to go and go and go.
Yeah. Well, that's what gets me, Keith. They'll whine about getting a taste of their own medicine. They will give you no quarter. They will give you nothing. Yeah. They will give you no mercy. It's the same thing on whether it's on the street or whether it's online, whether it's the Twitter censorship stuff is going crazy in the past few days. We live by one set of rules. They live by a completely different set of rules. And if we hold them accountable, they scream and yell we can't do that. But I think this is the breaking point. People are getting beat up. The midterms are coming up, and we're being discriminated against online. It's new rules time. It's we have no choice but to destroy you. Otherwise, you're just going to keep fucking all of this up repeatedly.
Well, here's something interesting I noticed in the most recent Antifa flyer I saw coming around over the August 4th Portland rally. And what they did was sort of clever. They lumped in Charlottesville and the D.C. Unite the Right rally with the Proud Boy, the Patriot Prayer rallies in Portland and Berkeley. And they're obviously separate things, but I think they're smart in that it probably drums up support for both with that sort of crossover.
Oh, yeah. And they're conflating Proud Boys and Patriot Prayer with a lot of the people that showed up at the first Unite the Right. A lot of far-right people that Patriot Prayer would kick out and the Proud Boys would have nothing to do with. But by showing, the Charlottesville stuff, then people automatically see that. And they then assume that the same kind of people that were carrying tiki torches, last year, last year are showing up, are going to show up August 4th in Portland. So it's like then there's all the more reason to show up. There's all the more reason to not listen and to be violent and to attack first, because it's like no one's going to go up to Hitler and start talking about politics and picking his brain about, it's like, what's the point? Well, that's the way they feel about us. It's like we're Hitler, or we're Chairman Mao, or we're all these horrible people. And it's like, it's counterproductive to listen to you, So the whole thing is it's self-defense to attack with weapons, even if we're unarmed, and to attack first and to not talk and not have any discourse.
In my mind, it was good strategy on their part to lump them together. But my question to you would be, do you think it was ignorance that they lumped them together, or do you think they know there's something different, but they refuse to acknowledge it?
What do you lump two together?
Oh, sorry, like Patriot Prayer, the Proud Boys with the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville.
Oh, it's completely disingenuous to do that. It's just a stupid logical trick that they're brain dead leftists are willing to accept that just so they can be on the right side of history or whatever they want to tell themselves. It's just a stupid game. Totally disingenuous. Is it a good tactic? Probably on their part. Yeah, I mean, if they're going to have a bunch of lemmings, run out there and in ninja outfits and try to hit people, then this is a good way to get them riled up to do it. So it's good tactics. Incredibly stupid. I don't know. Will that backfire? I don't know.
I think they're, as far as an information war or PR campaign or whatever you want to call it, I think they're doing a good job, because the more I look and the more I snoop on, Twitter and the Facebook and different websites, and it's like, they are stirring up people. They are getting people angry, and and this time it's not, the lawmakers that are doing it. It's all these guys online and their crazy videos they're putting out, and they got a good solid PR campaign going, and I think it's going to be, they will have huge numbers come August 4th, because the Nazis are coming, and they do stupid stuff like, I think someone from Charlottesville wanted to have Tiny come out and speak at the Unite the Right, and so it didn't matter that the communication never went through, that they never talked or anything like that. But just because someone at Unite the Right wanted Tiny to speak, that meant that Tiny was going there. Tiny was speaking. He supports the white nationalists or white supremacists or whatever. They do this stuff and twist the narrative constantly, just to get more people angry, to get more people to show up, to get more people to fight, with and for Antifa.
Well, here's an interesting question that comes to my mind. I think most people in the Proud Boys or the Patriot movement would agree that the Unite the Right rally is not a good thing. I think they wouldn't have too much problem saying that. Do you think it would help in maybe delineating the two groups if they took part in sort of a counter demonstration or a counter protest the day before or after? Or is it a case of don't punch philosophically right? I'm not sure how to ask that question. Do you get what I'm asking?
Yeah. No, I think... Yeah, I know that Proud disavow any white nationalists, white supremacists, but I don't think any of them would want to spend the time trying to protest anything that they're doing. I mean, we've got enough going on here with Antifa and cleaning up the streets of Portland and making it where maybe someday other groups, less armed groups, can actually go and walk the streets of Portland. It doesn't have to be Proud Boys and Patriot Prayer, armored up and ready to fight just to walk down the street. So yeah, no one's going to really pay attention to those guys, I think.
I just feel like if I was in charge of a movement such as Proud Boys, that'd be like one of my number one goals, would be to delineate myself very clearly from the Unite the Right sort of people. But I don't know the best way to do that. Nothing comes to mind initially anyway.
Can I answer that question?
Please, Daniel, please.
Someone in Dr. Sean Berry in your chat said, would the media report it with honesty? And, I mean, everybody knows the answer to that. No, the point is, the narrative is what matters. And that's why, like, the three of us do what we do, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners do the same thing, where it's like we have to counter that narrative, because no matter what they do, they can't delineate from each other. Like the media is just going to lump them together over and over again. That narrative fight is equally as important as the fight on the ground, in my opinion. And if we can win that, if we can get uncensored online, if we can get control of some of the media that's just putting outright lies out there about these people, then we have a fighting chance, you know?
Well, speaking of getting uncensored, Donald Trump's been making some interesting tweets about that, hasn't he?
Yeah. He's tweeted about it. I know, look, I get a little conspiratorial, right? Okay, it's okay. I'm a QAnon guy. Q posted about it. You know, somebody Anon asked, you know, are we ever going to be free? And Q said, yes, but DC works slow and lawsuits take too much time, so we're probably going to regulate it. Right? I've been saying that for a long time. I don't think we should regulate it like utilities, but I think there has to be regulation, Internet Bill of Rights type of stuff. And if we can do that, and we get laws on the books where we can actually be free online, much like we are in the streets in the United States, at least for the most part, then we can actually get somewhere.
It's an interesting point. I'll tell you why I don't necessarily have too much faith in that. It has lots to do with YouTube in specific. YouTube's got its leanings, whatever. But Susan Wojcicki just donated $25 million to prop up the legacy media, the lamestream media. The same people who just cost her millions with the ad, what do they call it? The ad gate? What the hell do they call it?
Adpocalypse.
So I'm wondering, are they? I don't think they're against cutting off their nose to spite their face at all.
No, man. No, they don't care about the money. This is the mistake we've made for a long time, myself included. They, whether it's Hollywood or the media or whomever on the left, we have this capitalist society, but then on the top of it, we have this new socialist realm where they've just taken over with all the money, and they don't care about the money. They have all the money, a few $1 million, tens of $1 million. That means nothing in Hollywood. That means nothing for the media. If they can lose money but keep the power, they'll do that all day long, because they're just going to take more of our money, recycle it in, and then use it against us to keep that power. Like we have to realize that at some point.
Well, it was the whole adpocalypse was ridiculous, because it's so much cheaper to put ads on YouTube than TV. You have way more people see it. You don't have to pay for it unless someone actually clicks on it. You can target your audience much better. So to go do all that and to start getting ads removing ads from YouTube channels, it's like crazy. It does take money out of their pockets. It makes no sense at all as far as money goes.
Put my conspiratorial hat on. I don't think YouTube gives a crap about making a dime. And I think the whole adpocalypse deal was strictly to try to find a way to push creators off the platform, or at least make them less prevalent, because they gotta go get real jobs. I wasn't on here before Adpocalypse. I heard there's amazing money to be made. I've never actually seen it, but that's my theory.
Well, even when ads came back, limited, the click rate was much, much lower. Nobody makes money like they used to before the adpocalypse. It's just, you don't. Well, even after the ads came back, it's just, the pay is way less.
And look at
then there's the whole thing of demonetization and all that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Facebook and Twitter, who both just lost almost 20% apiece. Yeah. What effect did that have? Did they make any? They make no adjustments. Like whatever's coming down is big. We don't know what it is yet, but something's coming down the big, or investors wouldn't make that move. But Zuckerberg owns the majority of Facebook, so he's not going to make any changes. If he doesn't have to, his people are going to say, no, you don't make any changes. You keep doing this for us, for the power.
Well, actually, Top Keck 123 Binary God just put in a super chat. He said Facebook was just hit hard, perfect timing. So you just brought it up.
Nice.
And people like Jack at Twitter will also hurt if they continue the censorship. Also, alt tech will rise, which I think so also. But here's what I'll say as far as those two market corrections go. I think that they've been in a tech bubble for a long time, and I'm not sure they have anything to do with each other necessarily, other than how is Twitter and Facebook making money? They're really not. And now when you take away the people's ability to put ads on your site because of politics, you're not generating anything. So it only makes sense your market value goes down because you're not actually capable of producing anything. So I guess they still go together, but I think this is something from years ago, not from recent months. I don't know.
I don't know either.
It's so hard, because it's like people say, if we just make a new social media platform, blah blah blah, and if it's good, people will go. It's like, no, they own the internet, they have Google and Facebook and Twitter, they have everything. No, you can't find the new place to have the conversation. They're like, not enough people can find it because we're so censored. It's like so over the top.
Well, and even if you go off YouTube, or you go off Twitter to an alternate platform, it's like, you're going to be completely in your own little echo chamber, preaching to the choir. Anyone outside that you want to try and reach, they're going to go to YouTube for videos. They're not going to go to BitChute. They're not going to go to any of the other platforms. They're going to YouTube, and if they can't find it, then they won't look. So moving off those platforms means that you're stuck talking to people who already believe everything you believe. It's just your echo chamber gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and I think it's kind of useless.
Well, here, tell me what you think about this. I think there's definitely viable alt media platforms out there, but I don't think they'll solve any of our problems. For example, BitChute's great. I like it. It's convenient to upload in both spots. By the way, follow me on BitChute marketing. But also, BitChute is based in the UK, so that makes me nervous right away, right? I mean, the UK is not known for its freedoms. So although I love the site, right, its home base makes me nervous immediately. Then there's Gab, which again, I think it functions even better than Twitter. I enjoy Gab. But it's, an incredible echo chamber at the moment, which will probably never change. Yeah. But also, the guy who runs it, Andrew Torba, he seems to have his political bias right on his sleeve, so I don't think that's helping his cause any. So I don't see that going anywhere too fast. Although, like I said, I do like it. Then there's Minds.com, which I haven't found any real problems with, other than it doesn't seem to be taken off like the other two platforms. I don't know. Are you guys on both these, or all three of these platforms?
I'm on Gab. I think I have one video on BitChute, but I really don't mess around with it. I don't mess around with Gab either. I just don't have time to go on multiple platforms. I waste enough time on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. So
fair enough.
Yeah, it's really an odd kind of fight like that. Like I'm on Gab and I go to Gab regularly, but it is a total echo chamber. But then you go to Twitter and it's like feels like an echo chamber over there too, because they put us in our own bubbles. So yeah, it's really we fight kind of like Keith does on the on the street. It's like we fight as much as we can in the ways that we can. We have to outsmart them and be more clever. And I mean, hopefully this kind of stuff changes, but I don't see it changing without help from the top. I don't think we can do it from the bottom up on this one.
Just makes I hate getting lawmakers involved with that sort of stuff, but I don't see any alternative at this point. I guess
I know. I love to say that to trigger people too.
And back to the fighting on the streets, and I don't know if the police have changed their stance, but the last thing that they told Patriot Prayer was they're treating August 4th as mutual combat, as in whoever comes can fight, and they will let us fight and not intervene.
What? It's like, how does this even happen in the United States? They're just like, yeah, everybody can just show up and fight if they want to.
It's like that movie Gangs of New York.
Basically, my understanding is the only time that they might intervene is if, say, that they do happen to see somebody who's getting beat to death and might die. Then can they intervene in time? That's the other question. Or possibly if one side just completely starts destroying the other, then they might balance it out, kick the sides apart. But, in a big riot, which I'm sure this is just going to be probably the biggest one since Trump got elected, things happen fast. People get mobbed fast. People get hurt really fast. And, it's at the waterfront, and a lot of times the police will stand like 50 yards away. So if shit goes down and something gets really bad, by the time they come to do anything about it, if they even will do anything about it, kind of too late.
And by the way, Keith, is the best way for people to find information on these events simply look up Patriot Prayer on Facebook? I mean, that's where I find it at. Is that the best spot?
Yeah, definitely. You'll find the latest updates. Joey Gibson just did a live stream. I think it was yesterday, talking about it. And yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to watch Patriot Prayer and Antifa get into a fight and watching Antifa get knocked out because they all drink soy. It's a good time. I like making YouTube videos about it. They get lots of clicks. It's all good. But it seems ridiculous. I feel like if someone wants to say something in public in America, they should be able to do that without the police saying, "Oh, hey, just be ready to fight, man."
Well, and Joey made the point the other day. It's like, hopefully, if we keep doing this and keep standing, number one, I think any of your rights or freedoms that you don't fight for, you're not willing to fight for, eventually you're going to lose. And hopefully, at some point, if we keep standing up to, the radical left and keep booting Antifa out of Portland, then maybe one day other groups that aren't armed to the teeth and don't bring 60 guys ready to fight in armor, maybe those kind of groups can actually take to the streets or go into the park and talk about whatever they want to talk about or whatever their political beliefs are, and they won't need armored people to keep them from getting beat up, But
Yeah,
right now it's an all-out war, and it's getting more and more violent. Yeah, go ahead, Daniel.
Smoke Kitty from the chat says live bands, barbecues, and public assembly. Maybe we need to kick this off old school style. Like, what if you did that? What if you actually had like a grill out, and then they came and tried to kick your ass because you were Nazis that were like grilling steaks and stuff? I mean,
I don't know that would be pretty awesome, but you know what? It's going to be a challenge just to get in there. I mean, we're bringing in buses, and I think it's going to be a challenge to get in there, get everybody off the bus, and halfway organized before they start attacking. Because they know where we're going to be, and I'm sure there's going to be quite a bit more of them than us.
are you
So there'll be no chance to... Go ahead.
are you worried that it's going to get particularly violent?
I think it'll be way, way more than June 30th, and June 30th was pretty out of control. So yeah, I think that will look like child's play. I think people are so angry, and also I think since so many people have pulled out of the Berkeley one, I think they're going to focus all their efforts on shutting us down in Portland, because they know now Proud Boys are only going to be in Portland, Patriot Prayer is only going to be in Portland. So yeah, they're beefing up their numbers, and they're just they're going crazy with the doxing. The guy I brought as a bodyguard, they got all pissed off and bent out of shape because for the first time in my life I brought a bodyguard, and so they couldn't get to me, so they started going after him and going at calling the place where he taught and harassing his students, and they put out calls for information about me and to email them with tips and information about me. So I'm sure they're planning on putting out some wonderful little articles at some point. But it's like, yeah, they're going crazy trying to stir up the hate and trying to convince people that Nazis are coming and we have to run them. They have to run us out of town no matter what.
I think with Daniel on this, I just always worry about continued escalation, because eventually it gets to be a little too much, I suppose.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, and it's already gotten in, even in the last 6 months, it's really escalated. So, yeah, I don't see people being more mellow on the 4th, and yeah, I mean, I can't believe how many people didn't get bashed in the head when they were throwing this stuff at us. I had left my helmet in the park, and so I was standing there filming and watching all these things come flying overhead, thinking, man, people must be getting beamed behind me. And not too many people actually got hit with the flying objects, but it's just a matter of luck. Sometimes someone's luck is going to run out and could be, seriously injured.
I guess I'm more thinking, I'm worried about someone starting to show up with knives, pistols, real gang shit. I mean, there were rumors online of people like, I'm not going to say the specific gang, but gangs being sought after to join these rallies, I suppose. I don't know. What have you heard about that?
Well, MS-13 was at the one that I got attacked on, and police said they were recruiting them again for these rallies. So yeah, I'm sure street gangs will be there. And I remember I saw some slow-mo video of the June 30th. You can see clips from guys who have knives in their pockets. I didn't see anybody out actually using them, but Antifa liked to use knives. April 15th, They stabbed a medic 5 times, right in the middle of that. They stabbed another journalist in the ribs. So, yeah, why wouldn't they? You know, I don't know why sometimes they go to knives and why just bats, but I'm sure they're going to have, you know, tons of. Sometimes they put a rebar in their coat sleeves and they like to swing at you with their forearm, and you think, oh, it's not going to do anything, but it's rebar. Yeah. Someone got their leg cut up when someone put an M80 in a jar and threw it, and it exploded and put glass shards in his leg.
Oh, yeah, that's called a grenade. Holy fuck.
Yeah, it's just like a home. Exactly. They were throwing that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, they're definitely escalating it.
I feel like we need to do a better job documenting that ridiculous kind of thing. That's the stuff you're not going to see on the media, but really draws a sense of urgency to the whole situation, I think.
But it is, I mean, it is documented. I mean, there's so many people are filming from so many different angles, but the authorities don't care. Bottom line.
Is there, do you think the Trump administration is doing anything to mitigate this? Do you think they have the power to do it? Like, do you feel any change over time with that kind of thing?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, like have you noticed a change since this all began? I'm wondering if they don't have people undercover, or if they're not getting rid of the gangs, or if they're letting it happen for a reason. I'm just not sure.
Okay, you know, when I got attacked, and Milo put this thing of me on Facebook, and then Homeland Security started getting involved, and I think that was when their activities were declared like a terrorist activities. And it seemed like, it's like, wow, okay, something's going to happen from the top. You know, finally, people are going to pay attention. But it's like, okay, a year later, and violence is escalating. Police are still doing the same thing of standing and watching. So, like something was going to happen, but it doesn't seem like anything is happening.
I don't know. I just feel like you could somehow do a compilation of, oh, look at this dude's leg got blown up by a glass. Look at this guy swinging with rhubarb. I mean, that's the kind of video I think would go incredibly viral, and it could not be ignored. I don't know. I just feel like documentation is key on this one. I'm not sure how best to do it, because I'm not taking my ass down there. So I respect you for what you do. Well,
you can hang out with me. No one would pay attention to you, I'm sure. No. Too much of a lightning rod.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure. I guess that kind of wraps up the few things I was kind of curious about. Keith, unless you think we missed anything.
No, I don't think so. I'll be live streaming. There'll be lots of people live streaming up there. It's just going to be a huge event on Saturday, and who knows? Who knows how it's going to go?
Are you going to be idea. I mean, I saw your live stream footage from the last rally. Are you going to be doing any just recording while you're there to upload after the fact? Maybe a little higher res?
Yeah, okay. That's what I was going to do. My video camera had a malfunction, so the whole time I thought I was doing video as well as streaming. Nothing was saving. It didn't save to the SD card or the hard drive, so I didn't have any other video. Just killed me. So I don't know what happened. I dropped my video camera, and it kind of like reset it back to almost like factory settings. So I had to go back and redo it and set it all up to video again. So it works fine now. So yeah, so I should have, you know, not only live streams, but, you know, awesome. Regular videos afterwards. That's the plan, at least.
Well, I'll be super looking forward to seeing all of that, of course. And of course, Daniel Barron here will be on Twitter doing his Periscope normie stuff in about an hour. Daniel, you got any final thoughts?
I do. Definitely will be paying attention to Keith and what's going on with all of that. And I fired up my old YouTube again. So if anybody wants to go over there at Daniel Barron 45 and
cool.
Give me a click around or something, because, you know, we've all been censored so much on all this stuff, especially Keith, after doing this kind of thing. Man, they hate it. They hate it when you go there and beat the crap out of their people.
It's all about the memes. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Remember the regularly scheduled Tuesday show, no change. See you guys Tuesday, 8:30 Eastern. Be there, or you know, don't, I guess. Peace out.